Hey, it's Samantha Hartley of the Profitable Joyful Consulting Podcast. This is season 5. We're talking about consulting advice. And one of the frequent pieces of advice consultants get is you should have a mentor. You should get a coach. You should get somebody to shepherd you as you go through your business. And I think that's good advice, but it can be really confusing. Like, what's the difference between a mentor and a coach and a counselor and all kinds of advisors that you can have in your business. So I'm going to talk about how to distinguish between them, why you need one or might need one, what exactly they do, how to choose between them, and some steps that you can take to know what's the right direction for you. So I've worked in my life with many mentors, and I have been a mentor to people. And I think the best possible version of this is when you feel that there is somebody who kind of just takes you under their wing. And a lot of times this happens in larger organizations. It might have happened for you at college. There's just somebody who kind of is a little older and comes over and just shows you the ropes. So when I was at the Coca-Cola company, I had an amazing mentor at corporate named Roy, and he was from a finance background, which was completely foreign to me. And he was in the marketing department because he wanted to kind of shore that up as a new skill. And I had been recently promoted there. And we talked about all kinds of finance things. So he taught me how to read a P&L, profit and loss statement, which the answer to it is you look at the bottom right. But when I looked at financial documents, my eyes didn't know where to go. I didn't understand how to read the Wall Street Journal, like what was significant here. And so he just spent time with me all the time, lunch, an afternoon, a quick meeting, just to kind of share and explain that information to me. And in these relationships, very often, there isn't necessarily anything in it for them, except for kind of the satisfaction of knowing they're helping someone out. So if you're looking for a mentor in your career, you can find that someone in your, maybe who you have as a peer, who's a little bit, further ahead in their career, whether they're literally older or not. Or you might find, someone in your personal life who can be, a parenting mentor or whatever. What I like about it is, we all need people to perform that role for us. And probably as a business owner, you've been a leader in your own life and you find that you have a number of mentees in various fields and areas of your life. So mentoring, I think, is a beautiful thing. Even though we call business consultants and coaches mentors very often, it to me is a little bit different from hiring someone to be your coach or your person, your mentor, your go-to person. The problem with a mentor in a professional setting, if they're not paid, is that you have to really be mindful and respectful of their boundaries. This isn't a person whose job it is to do these things, and it can take a lot of time, and you need to be aware of the limits of that relationship. I think it is a pure relationship in many ways. When I was at corporate, neither of us are being paid, but also neither of us are necessarily taking time away from our personal lives or our families. We're kind of cutting into company time, but for a good reason, because the time that he was putting into training me up on finance made me better at my job. So outside of a corporate setting, when you're asking someone who may have a job or may have their own life to take part of that away for you, you just want to be considerate of what that might entail for them. Another question I get is what's the difference between a coach and a counselor and therapy? Which of these things do you need? Well, that's usually for life coaching rather than business coaching, although believe me, lots of therapy comes into business coaching. But if you're choosing between those, then, or if you've heard that advice, you should get a coach to help you in your business, or maybe you should see a counselor. My husband, whom you've met on this show, is a spiritual director, Christopher Carrick. He has been on the show talking about spiritual work in business and also the saboteur, the self-sabotage episode. So he is like a life coach for business owners, but from a spiritual perspective. And the way he distinguishes between his work, which is more like coaching, and the work of a counselor or a therapist is he says you really go to a therapist or a counselor for healing, and my clients come to me for growth. So it's not to say that nobody does any growing in therapy, and it doesn't mean that when you're coaching, you're not doing any healing, because sometimes that happens. It just means that's not his profession, and that's not the focus of spiritual or life coaching in general. If you need to heal trauma or issues, that's usually when you're going to go to someone like a therapist or a counselor. And I say that as a consultant and also someone who's been in the coaching world for like 20 years, because you'll see all kinds of things come up as you're growing and expanding in your business. And a lot of times it will bring out issues. And it's really a discernment exercise for you and maybe those who are close to you who can advise you on this of like, do you need to kind of pursue, like, I need to take time away and like go heal this major issue that's just been uncovered? Or is this, something that I can keep going on and I can incorporate this as I grow as a person and as a business owner? Very often these nuances come up when you're deciding to select who you want to work with. There's this lovely idea that you would have like a board of advisors or, like a peer group. And I've done this before many times, gotten together with some business friends and we kind of sit around and we share ideas and things like that. I think that's great for like a one-off or a short-term kind of thing. I've very rarely seen those succeed like ongoingly, like in perpetuity, because it's just very hard for people to prioritize something like that. Keep in mind, there will be exceptions to this, but if you want to go into a situation where you are taking, you're also generously sharing, but you're taking advice in that setting and in that situation, there are a lot of criteria that you want to look for. You want to make sure that this is a peer group that is, even with you, that they are calling you to be a higher version of yourselves, that, you really think that you can get some value out of that. In general, I'm skeptical of things like that you don't invest in. And the reason is because I think it's important that we've talked about in transformational engagements, that the money flow kind of ensures the level of commitment of an organization. And it can very often, it can activate change just merely by paying or investing in this case. And so I think a lot of times with these peer groups that are not invested in with money, they're invested in with time and with, commitment level. I just don't find people getting the results from them that they could from something like a peer coaching group that would have an organization behind it or someone who was accountable for ensuring quality of members, a structure that would be beneficial to everyone, someone behind the running of the whole thing. And that's usually the key here is you want this structure or this bowl in which all of these things are collected. You want there to be kind of something proven about it so that you're not investing in something that like may work out or may not. So for the rest of today, I'm going to talk about a mentor, coach, consultant, advisor, someone that you invest in to help you grow your business. Why and when do you need someone like that? Do you need to invest in someone to do something? Well, the when is when you are ready to do something either new, like you totally need to take the train off of these tracks and transition onto those tracks, or a growth. So growing, which obviously will also be something new, growth and doing things a new way, those kinds of transitions are really difficult to navigate, and they can be very difficult to navigate on your own. Can it be done? Of course it can. That's why we have the term bootstrapping. But I think you can get there faster and easier, more reliably, more compassionately for yourself if you invest in someone who can help you, support you on that journey as you go to get there. Of course, I'm self-interested in this because this is what I do for a living. But as you're listening, what I want you to know is it is less important that people work with me than that they realize when they need help and that they go and get that help. So even though, yes, I am a coach consultant, I want you to know, take this advice and apply it to whomever you're drawn to. We'll get to more of that in a minute. So which of these is going to be right for you? The person who, first of all, you realize I need to go from this level where I am to that level, or I can see where the future is and I need to take action to get there. That kind of transition will be harder than you can imagine almost always. I hope that yours is simple, easy, and fun. But truthfully, every time I've made a major transition, doubled my business, decided to move from mostly working with clients offline to mostly working with clients online, deciding to take my business entirely remote, deciding to move to a completely different location to work, finding myself in a place where in-person networking and therefore very local clients was an impossibility. All of these transitions required, for me, I felt more comfortable and supported if I had coaches to help me along the way. So what you're looking for when you find a coach, consultant, mentor, I'm just using those terms interchangeably right now, is knowledge, experience, and expertise. So the first thing that draws me to someone is what they have, what information, knowledge, expertise, experience they have. That doesn't have to be the thing that draws you. You might just be drawn by your gut. But very often I'm looking for someone who can teach something, who has already experienced something so they can help me navigate that path more easily, or they're just a deep expert in something that I want to learn. So sometimes I've just, literally done someone's program, let's say, a video program. I've just literally done their video training program. There was a chunk of knowledge that I didn't have. I wanted to have that. I went and bought it and got it. So I worked together with them to give myself training and knowledge that I didn't have before, and experience, right? It can be, I want to understand YouTube and how that works better. So I take someone's course and go get that knowledge and then bring it in. More often it is, more like longer term coaching or consulting or mentoring. And in our work with transformational engagements, what I say about the work we do with our clients is, transformation really takes at least a year, especially with people. And so you should probably plan to work with your clients for at least a year and often more. I think of coaching programs the exact same way. If I'm trying to double my business, or if I'm trying to work with a team and expand my business so that I have team delivery instead of doing it myself, a lot of those kinds of things, like you might get the idea within 2.5 months, but it's very hard to consistently implement it and then deal with all of the consequential fallout and the things that come up as a result of that. So most of these programs are a year. You can try something out for usually like 8 weeks or 3 months or something like that. But keep in mind, you want to think about when you're ready for major transformation, like doubling your business or making a major change. You want to think about committing to something that's going to be over the next year. And I want you to think about that time horizon, because I feel like a lot of people don't know how long things take. Like they do a 6-week thing and they feel like, yeah, this is great. Well, 6 weeks is amazing at introducing concepts to you, to implement those concepts long term and to really integrate that new information into your business. That's where the challenge comes in. And that's where doing something for a longer time with support is usually the key to making a major transformation in your business. The way I choose the knowledge and expertise and things that I want to have is I look at someone who is where in their business I want to be. So if I look at them and I'm like, she has the business I want to have, I'll usually do a little more homework on them to find out, is it really from, if I dig a little more, is it really true that she has the business that I want? So I usually see someone, I get some ideas, and then I kind of investigate and get more information about it. And here's a funny quirk of who I like to work with. One of the first types I like to work with are moms with small children in the home. So a lot of the coaches and advisors that I've worked with in my business have been moms of small children, or at least small enough that they're still in the home. So like not gone off to college yet. And the reason I like that is because those women have to do things with their time. They have to be more efficient with their time because they've got this much time before the kids get home. Like they work before the kids go, they work after the kids go. So they've usually got a narrow window to get things done. I want to work with people who can model for me what not working 24 hours a day looks like. So that's me, let's say 2010, 11. Right? So maybe 10 or 11 years into my business, I was like, I know what it looks like to work all the time. I want to work with someone who can model for me, not just the new information that I want and the transformation in how I work in my business. I want to have it also in, the number of hours I'm working. So I wanted to be close to someone and watch them do that. The other kind of coaches or consultants that I love to work with and programs I love to be in are those that are innovative, where they're doing something and I'm like, I want that. Not just that technique, like the video or like YouTube training and things like that. I want that business model. Like they're completely doing something new and different. And to me, this is a big deal in coaching because in general, there aren't innovators in the coaching business. There's like a couple of idea people and then everybody chases them. One of my other mentors at the Coca-Cola company told me about he coached his child's soccer team, and they were little kids, like single digit age. And he said they didn't know how to play the game. They just would all run around like bumblebees around the ball. And I feel like that's what the coaching industry is like. I'm not saying this to trash talk. I'm just telling the truth as I see it. The ball is like one person with a good idea, and then suddenly everybody will do it. So you don't see a lot of innovation. You don't see a lot of people doing something new. And part of the reason you don't is because there's such a narrow window for someone to do something new before everybody else gloms onto it. So I love to look for people who are doing something where I'm like, hey, I haven't seen that before. That's new and interesting, and I want to work with them. So that's tended to be who my coaches have been. And I have always benefited from that. The next thing I'm going to tell you about is how that isn't, things aren't always a benefit. Sometimes people are doing something new and different, but they don't share our values. So if the first thing is we pursue coaches who have the knowledge, expertise, and experience that we want, the second thing is it's really important for you to find people who share your values. So for example, not working 24 hours a day because she's a mom with kids are my values, but also honesty, ethics, innovation. Those are other values. So I have in my time worked with certain, bro marketers or other people where I was like, it's not my values, but I want to learn that thing. And I think I can tolerate the things that are going on in the name of learning this thing that I do respect. It hasn't always gone great. A lot of times I can be the person who can withstand the rest of that and pull out that nugget that I need. But I have also been in situations where I was like, nope, it's just not worth it. Everything going on here it does not align with the kind of business I want to have. And now that I'm inside of this, I just decide I don't need this anymore. So I think it's probably not worth it to go in and just learn it for learning's sake. I think you really need to know that you share the values of the person who you would potentially be working with. And if you're not sure what those values are, first of all, that's probably a bad sign. And second of all, ask them and make sure, like if I value freedom and I'm working with somebody who is in the grind coaching business, there's a lot of hustle, grind, grind today so that tomorrow, blah, 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 not my values. However, if that is you, and you're like, 23 and sleep is not, necessary, and you don't have family and friends that you need to see because this is about like we work now, earn now, and like do the rest later. That could be your person. But so those things for me are a conflict. And I think for you to pursue coaching from somebody who is aligned with what you want, just think about the range of the values that you want them to model for you. The third really interesting thing is that they have a track record of results. This is going to seem so daggum obvious in 2021. Let me tell you, it was not obvious. The coaching industry has been around for not very long, probably 21 years or so, maybe a little longer. And it wasn't always the case that people could get results. And one of the things that I saw, and I want you to be really careful of, is that there are people who, and I've worked with these people, they knew how to get results for themselves, but they couldn't replicate those results for others. It's a very interesting phenomenon because they were awesome and they made magic happen for themselves. Like you would not be able, they couldn't tell you how they did it. I had a friend who was an engineer who helped me prepare for the GMAT test. And I was like, I can't do these math problems. It's just like nuts. I don't know if it was calculus or something like that. And he would sit beside me and he would work it out beside me, but he couldn't tell me what he did. He just like figured it out. I understand that. Like I speak languages. I understand when people are like, I don't know why it's that way in the grammar. I don't understand the reason why the grammar is that way. It just is. So sometimes coaches are like, I don't know. I'm just charming, or the idea for the copywriting just comes to me. So that's not going to be helpful for you. And the way that you'll know that this person can actually get results through others, right? We work, each of us, when we work with our clients, you as a consultant, when you work with your clients, a lot of times you're getting results through them. You teach them how to do the thing. You teach them how to have better meetings, and they, with their own team members, they have those better meetings. So you're going to look for testimonials, case studies, and just people that you could talk to who have worked with that person and say, tell me about your experience learning from that person? And can you do the things, were they able to teach you how to do the things that they did? Or was it like, good luck figuring this out? And I say good luck figuring this out because an amazing quality for a coachee, so for you and for me, when we're the clients of a coach or mentor, an amazing quality is self-responsibility. So one of my first big expenditure coaching programs that I enrolled in, so I'd done some other things that were, a few thousand here and a few thousand there, but the first time I really invested in something that was like multiple thousands with a comma in it, was a big program, and I was kind of nervous about it. And I had a guy who worked with me on my business, and he said, if we can't get ROI on this amount of money, then how sad are we? So that really helped me. So if we can't get a return on our investment of this amount of money, then it's really on us, right? We're really the ones at fault. So what I like about that is it's an empowering statement. It said like, it's up to us to be able to get ROI on that. Now I will tell you there were about 20 people in that program. Two people were able to get ROI, which means they were able to pull the value out of that program, because their businesses were ready enough, they had gumption, they took advantage of all of the opportunities, the coaching, the benefits, all of that kind of thing. So self-responsibility in all of these programs is the key to you getting what you need from the program. And the program or the coach or whatever the situation is, because you've got to be able to say, what are all the benefits? Which are the things that I need? Okay, I'm going to make sure that I get my things. So that's like showing up on all the phone calls, doing all of the homework, implementing it. Now, honestly, you don't have to do probably half of it to be able to get ROI in most situations. But the truth is that most people don't do anything, right? That's the sad thing. So you're the exception, and you're going to find a situation where you see a coach who you want to study with, who is getting results for his or her clients, and you're going to take advantage of every single opportunity. There's an open call. There's an office hours. There's a bonus session. Here's all of the curriculum and the videos. You're going to watch them and you're going to do the stuff, right? Because that's how you get the value from these programs. And if you feel like, dude, I don't have that kind of time, then it's going to be very hard to double your business or to put it on a new path. There are a lot of ways that a program can be structured. It can be just like you work with an advisor. I've done this. This was really great. An advisor who did it was 10 to 20 minute sessions once a week for, I think it was 3 months. It was amazing. You have to be prepared if you're hopping on a 10 to 20 minute call, right? So I would prepare my questions. There would be a little coaching, and then I would go and take action. It's a fairly sophisticated model. I think for a lot of people, if you're really new in your business, like there was no curriculum, there was no this, there was no that, but you, at a certain level, that kind of pure advice kind of thing can work for you. In some situations, it's not just like a 10 to 20 minute call. It can be, an hour long call and more structure and more curriculum and things like that. So, but that's kind of like the first model, is where it's advice and maybe curriculum. In a one-on-one situation, you can have a group situation where it's you with many others and the single kind of guru or coach. It can be you and many others, a single guru and then multiple coaches. And you can have a model where it's done with you, where there's, they're not just teaching, but, you can get feedback and you can do things together. And then there's a done for you model. So you can hire someone who gives you advice. I do this with some of my clients. Like we work on strategy and things like that. And also my team will do some of the implementation for them. So there's all kinds of ways that these models can look. And I feel like for a lot of people, and this was me for years, I was like, no, I just want a one-on-one coach. I want to have the time with them and be able to focus with them. I don't want some group in here just distracting me and all the blah, blah, blah. The truth is the community piece in coaching can be really amazing. And not just for brainstorming and bringing in new ideas, although that, not just for hearing somebody else ask questions and thinking, ooh, I have that question too. So I'm in a big group coaching program, and I feel like I should have like a little rubber stamp GIF that I can put into every Facebook post. I have this question too. I have this question too. I have this question too. Because when other people ask a question, I constantly have that question too. So it's great to be around people who are inquisitive and on the ball enough to ask questions in that group setting. So you You have camaraderie, you have intelligent people who can give feedback and insights, you have accountability partner possibilities, you have networking possibilities. One of the methods that I teach, which is a great way for getting clients, is that you meet people when you're studying with others. So I've gotten clients that way, and I've also gotten referral partners and team members by being in a class together with people. Why? Because people who take classes or invest in coaching programs are like invest in themselves. They're usually growth oriented. They're interested in furthering themselves in their career. So those are good people to be around in general. And that can be an amazing network for you, especially with how virtual we all are right now. The group community that is part of your coaching group can be really important. And that might be a thing that you want to vet and check out before you enroll in someone's program. On the topic of multiple coaches, a lot of times you feel like, but I chose that guru and that guru was in the ads and that's who I'm wanting to work with, or I've read her content. And then you get in the program and you find out, well, that person isn't really even like doing the calls or isn't really involved in the program and things like that. And that can be very disappointing. But here's what's interesting. They have hand chosen those coaches who work with them. And very often I've been like, oh, thank goodness. The coach actually is a little out of touch with this stuff. It's kind of like the chef who makes the menus but no longer cooks in the restaurant every day. They're kind of out of touch with things. And so a lot of times those line cooks or those coaches who are there have been brought in because they have a specialty, and they'll deep dive with you into things and help you get things done. So some of my favorite coaching experiences have been with the staff of a coaching program instead of with kind of like the heads of the program. So I just want to offer that from multiple years and probably hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point of investment in coaching programs, just a little feedback so that you open your mind to the possibility that one-on-one isn't necessarily the best. Sometimes it is. That group coaching can be wonderful, and that working with not the head person, the leader of the whole thing, can still be a really fulfilling experience and sometimes better than working with that person themselves. The last thing that I want to say about this is when you are deciding who to work with, I want you to trust your intuition. I know we've just had the podcast about that. I want you to respect who you feel called towards, respect your own intuitive pull towards that person, because there's information for you in that. You are probably right. If you feel like that is a person I think I should be working with, you are probably right. So if you find like, I'm constantly seeing this person's posts, or you read one thing and then you went down the bunny trail of like reading everything that they wrote, and it really resonates with you, respect that and consider that when you're deciding who's the person for you. What's funny is that I had a friend, I was really feeling like the dearth of coaching. I wasn't in anyone's program, and I was feeling kind of alone in terms of really wanting to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, and looking for guidance and, just support in my business, just kind of a little more grounding. This was a few years ago. And I contacted a friend, and I thought it might be him. And I was like, I'm contacting you, but I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what I want, but here's what's going on with me. And he said, I think you might want to look into this person's program. So isn't that interesting? I felt called to talk to him, and he said, I think you should look at that program. And so it wasn't him that I was supposed to talk to. And I went and joined that person's program and had a wonderful time. Got I can't even remember what, like invested 10 and made 120 kind of ROI situation, right? So that's the kind of way that this can work, is that you're like, I'm called to something, and then I follow the trail of where that leads. And that can be, a really good way for you to find the right person for you. I'm not saying don't do any left-brained homework. Like once you find that person, you can certainly like ask to see some testimonials, or ask to talk to people who've worked with them, or, read those pages on their website or whatever. That is the responsible way, I think, to find your person. But I have always said, someone asked me if when I get on a sales call, will I say a yes or no? And I wrote, when I get on a sales call, I'm here to buy. I don't get on a call if I'm not ready to buy. So that's because I'm an intuitive buyer. I'm called by my gut to the thing that I'm supposed to do next. And so it really doesn't matter how the call itself goes, because I know I'm supposed to buy it. And we should just get all this, data out of the way so that I can just do the thing. Now, that not everybody buys that way, and you have to really trust your intuition to invest things like $50,000 with confidence in doing things that way. But you know your own process, or you might be new to this and you might be developing your own process. And so I've outlined these ideas for you to begin to put some shape and structure to the decision-making process in this. If you are looking to double your business, looking to work in a new way, for example, transitioning from hourly to value-based pricing, for example, transitioning from working B2C to B2B. When you're making a major transition like that, it's really in your interest to look for a coach who can support you in doing that. So I also want to let you know that I work with clients one-on-one and in groups so that they can move their consulting business from where they are to where they want it to be. And that usually entails moving from about 150-ish to closer to $1 million. So somewhere along that spectrum is where we can get within a year. So if you're looking to double your business or add as much as $750,000 to your business this year without exhaustion, by working with perfect clients only on what we call transformational engagements, then I might be the person to help you. And I would love for you to get in touch with me. And if there's someone else that you're feeling called to out there, then I am confident that you have heard at least one thing today that you were supposed to hear, because this entire podcast is delivered from the intuitive hit that I got that it was important to talk to you about this topic today. And with that, I wish you a profitable and joyful consulting business. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to get video updates. Thanks.